I have been a book coach for going on 7 years now. And during those 7 years, I have come across just about every possible reason an author has for not finishing their book. And I've pushed people through and helped people finish those books and go on to be successful as authors. And so in this video, I want to talk about the 5 main reasons. I drilled it down. Really, there are just 5 reasons that people don't finish their books. And so if you can get past these 5 reasons, you're golden. You're going to be great. You're going to be go on to wonderful success by getting over these 5 hurdles. If you are stuck on any of the 5, don't worry, because I'm also going to provide solutions to every single one. So let's get into it. First and foremost, this is the first hurdle people come up against, and that is belief and the inner critic. And so these are the voices in your head that tell you you can't do it. It's not worth it. And the thing is that, of course, if you have these voices in your head, you're not going to start. Really, I mean, I feel like I've experienced this recently in my life too, where what you believe is possible determines your actions. And let me give you a great example. So this year, Miranda Reichs and I are coming out with a book. We're still deciding on the title. Join the group below if you want to vote on our title, but it's called either The Rapid Novel Blueprint or Write 4 Books a Year. And so going back to belief and what's possible, you want to know what? I met her 7 years ago. I wanted to be a book coach. She wanted to be a novelist, but we weren't sure what was possible. We didn't, I was a school teacher. I didn't know if I could run my own business. She had published nonfiction, but she'd never finished a novel that she would publish before. And so we kind of bonded and we started figuring it out together. We started convincing one another that the things we wanted were possible. And here, 7 years later, I'll link to Miranda's name and you can look her up on Amazon. She's published over a dozen books, psychological thrillers. She's selling like crazy. Her novels are wonderful. And here I am, 7 years into my business, loving it, excited for 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years more. So the point at the beginning of this first hurdle, if you can get over this hurdle, oh my goodness, life has so much possibility, but you have to shut down that inner critic and believe in what is possible. I've got plenty of ways to do that. I mentioned the group below. That's a good start. The Writer's Block Facebook group. There are a lot of successful authors in there. We're always talking and encouraging one another. So there's one place you can go, but you know how you can reinforce your belief in what is possible. And that's the first hurdle. The second hurdle is tied to that, because if you have limiting beliefs around what's possible, you're not going to find the time to write. So I know this is one of the biggest struggles we come up against, but we all have the same 24 hours in a day. So when it comes to finding time to write, really, the answer is making it a priority. And so tying back to the original hurdle, you're not going to make it a priority unless you reinforce those beliefs. And this isn't easy, because one thing that I've noticed as a coach, society tells us, do the responsible thing, do the conformist thing, and all of these things. So we have all of these messages coming at us all the time that doesn't tell us to make our imagination, our playfulness, our dreams a priority. And as I talked about in the last story, oh my goodness, when you are one of the few people who get past these hurdles and really start dedicating time to your books, your novels, your nonfiction, your passion project, there is so much possibility. There are so many chances there, because most people don't find the time. Most people, let's say, cower in the face of that fear. And so once you can start getting in the habit of making time, making it a priority, and also believing in what's possible, oh my goodness, you are so far ahead of the crowd. And I will add a little caveat. We all enter times of chaos. We all enter times where we are just booked up, you know, over our heads. As a former school teacher writing a book, oh my goodness, I know this. In my old job, I remember times, and I know I've said this if you're a fan of this channel, I say this a lot. When I wrote my first book, I would sometimes get buried in student tests, add to that, you know, school sickness, because there are all those viruses in the school environment. I had a toddler, you know, my husband was in and out of work at that time. And so it was a crazy time. I just felt like I was juggling a lot. And there are times where I would look at my week. There were times when I would look at 3 weeks and I would say, oh my goodness, I really want to finish my book. I love my book, but I do not have a minute. And so there are two things that I would do in those times. One, sometimes I would implement a little strategic procrastination. If I could get up an hour earlier, maybe I would, you know, just try to grab an hour. But there are times when I was so inundated with responsibility that all I needed was rest. And so then I would book, I would look forward in on the calendar, like, you know, the landscape ahead, looking for dry land when you're lost at sea, and then really book in your calendar ahead of time when you think the hurdles will be over and when you can make your beautiful dream a priority again. So first hurdle, belief; second hurdle, time; third hurdle, learning curve. Okay, we believe in it. We have made the time. We sit down to our computer or our notebook or however we prefer to write, and we've got nothing to say. We do not know what to write. The stuff that's coming out is not what we want it to be yet. And I know that feeling too. So the third hurdle is learning curve. And so one of the biggest things that contributes to the learning curve or to caving under the pressure of writing something really good really fast is that we think that when you sit down, you'll start with the first word of a novel, and then by doing regular practice, you'll get to the final word of a novel. And that's not true. There are a lot of books, my book included, the book that Miranda Reichs and I are coming out with. There are so many books, courses, coaches that can help you develop your skill, develop your writing. And there are two things I'm going to add to this just so you have something to walk away with. First, prep work. You are not, don't sit down to a blank page. People talk about their block being, you know, the blank page. Don't sit down to a blank page. Have an example, have a writing craft book, have a coach who will give you prompts in order to really address that learning curve. And that goes to the second thing, which is writing prep. We don't sit down and write a novel first word to last word with no contemplation, solving problems, analysis, preparation, writing about characters, outlining. All of those things go into the book before you sit down to write. So when you can really support yourself with structures and ideas and past expertise, when you can learn this craft, because it is a profession, it is a craft, there are tools that make this so much better and so much easier. When you address the learning curve for what it is, rather than just expecting yourself to know everything, oh my goodness, you got that hurdle handled, which means we can go on to the fourth, and that is consistency and commitment. So we've got these first three up in a bundle. We believe in ourselves, we're making it a priority, and we're addressing the learning curve. We're starting where we are, and we're taking the next right action with the next thing we need to learn, no matter what. And so then what can get us off track is not making it a habit. So we get started, we take it seriously for a little while, and then something pulls us away. And so consistency and commitment, that's going to happen. I promise. As someone who has been consistent with this YouTube channel, who's consistent with her writing, who's consistent with her clients, oh my goodness, there are times where we get pulled away. And so you just gotta get back and keep going. Coaching can help with that, which is why I'm going to bring us to the final hurdle, which is what makes everything easier: learning, belief, time, all of the things are not doing it alone. So this was a fun part of the book Miranda and I have coming out. One of the parts that I researched and wrote for this book is that no writer has ever done it alone. Everybody needs support. You can go right into the writer's block if you want to get some of that support. You can also work with a coach. So different writers have mastered different parts of the craft, and then they've really needed help and support with other parts. Some writers, once you get that book out, you need help with marketing. Some writers, they need help with a developmental edit. Actually, I don't know anybody who has ever really been successful without a developmental edit. That is really what coaching is. And so, really, not forcing yourself to try to do everything alone. At least get yourself into a community of supportive friends or hire for what you need help with. Oh my goodness, I am never going to write a book without a proofread, obviously, because I am terrible at that. And so, really, don't be embarrassed. Go for it. Go for the support you need and don't tackle things alone. Supportive friends help reinforce those beliefs. They'll help you find strategies for learning curves and time management. And it's really where all the juiciness starts. So if you have liked this video, show me and like it below. I would appreciate that so much. And if you want to work with a coach, go ahead and book a free session with me. I love talking about books. Obviously, I do it every single Friday on this channel, but believe me, try it out. I'm happy to give you some direction and advice no matter what. There are free sessions, free consultations right in the link below. And I'll also link a free outlining tool just so you have some stuff to go on. And as I said, every single Friday, I am giving you advice and support for free on this channel. So hit subscribe and you're just going to get more and more and more. So much love. Talk soon.